welcome to this fourth edition of the Global Review of Aid for Trade. The theme we will address over the next 3 days of what I hope and I expect to be a rich debate is that of connecting to value chains. Today, 60% of trade is now in intermediate products, trade in parts and components. In short, a value chain offers many entry points for firms to connect to the worldwide trading web.
There is abundant evidence that aid for trade is having impact. It is lowering trade costs and improving trade performance. Today we have a great opportunity to build on this and other initiatives to improve the effectiveness of aid for trade overall and the effectiveness of development overall. I have every confidence that by working together we can strengthen aid for trade and cement its importance on the global policy agenda.
Having developing countries, including the least developed countries, connected to these global value chains will open new opportunities to these countries. Of course, they are participating to some of these value chains, but I will say they remain at the bottom of these value chains as of today.
Yes, aid for trade is making a difference, but it can make more of a difference if it tackles the factors needed to get the business and investment climate right.
Aid for trade will allow countries to place themselves along the value chain and generate the opportunities for jobs, for exports, eventually, the bottom line, for welfare for their people.
At UNDP, we certainly see aid for trade having the potential to generate growth and development in ways which will leave no one behind. We do see around our world inequalities growing. Inequalities are destabilising in every sense. Therefore, following explicitly inclusive approaches to development is extremely important. This needs to underpin the post-2015 Global Development Agenda now being debated and the approaches we take to trade and development.
The biggest role of aid for trade in overcoming barriers is for them to firstly take a global approach. All trade is global. So it's useless to come up with regional or national efforts. We have to really have a global, holistic approach to transport, to really drive trade, to drive progress, prosperity, and ultimately peace throughout the world.
Pour pouvoir produire dans des conditions de qualité, pouvoir mettre sur le marché des produits de qualité, l'aide au commerce est fondamentale. Mais l'aide au commerce est également importante parce qu'il permet justement au pays d'avoir une meilleure connaissance des marchés internationaux à travers donc, des études sectorielles qui permettent justement de savoir là où il faut vendre le mieux.
If countries can become competitive, either by bringing the cost down or by adding value or by retaining more of the value of trade that is created in a specific sector, in a specific country, then those countries become much more attractive for private investment.
I think aid for trade can target in on what the specific barriers are. So it's not a generalised approach, it's saying, well, what is standing in the way of a country doing better in this respect? And then once you have the diagnosis, you can start on the cure.
Our Aid for Trade monitoring survey points to a range of issues. It's about access to business and trade finance. It's about the time it takes to complete border formalities. It's about more effective trade facilitation. It's about the ability to comply with standards. It's about improving the business environment or upgrading skills.
Infrastructure is a problem, both soft and hard, and that's where the African Development Bank is putting a lot of emphasis.
We see different type of barriers mentioned by different type of sectors, which makes sense. When it comes to services, skills, shortage in skills really becomes very important.
The biggest obstacles we're facing today in the road transport industry, while most people would think it's infrastructure, it's not at all the case. The biggest obstacle are waiting times at borders.
The more borders are crossed, the more important it becomes to have customs procedures that are clear, transparent, that are streamlined, fast. Because all that will add to the final cost. All that will have an impact on the efficiency of the entire supply chain.
Taken together, our support for trade facilitation programs has global reach. It has assisted developing and least developed countries in different regions to achieve significant results, cutting border clearance times, increasing revenue collection and simplifying procedures for traders. Trade facilitation reform delivers tangible benefits to economic growth and development. The widespread recognition of these benefits is reflected in the pursuit of trade facilitation initiatives in many developing and least developed countries and regional cooperation bodies around the world. A WTO trade facilitation agreement would add significant momentum to these initiatives, leading to even greater reductions in trade costs.
Indonesia has always been a believer of facilitating trade in a more efficient and effective manner. But the key to doing this is that I think there needs to be view-taking on how these guys or us, how we are going to be compensated, for basically moving up the ladder and also moving things in a more efficient and effective manner. Now, this is where the aid for trade comes to play.
Reducing global trade costs by 1%, just 1%, would in turn increase worldwide income by more than 40 billion, of which 65%, 2/3, would accrue to developing countries. This is just reducing the cost of trade. It's not reducing tariffs. It's not negotiating anything. It's not getting reciprocity. Just reducing the cost of trade, which is going to be a lot of what Bali is going to be about. The potential of benefiting developing countries is enormous.
We need to look at other sources of financing. And other sources of financing, investment, private investment, be it domestic investment, be it foreign investment, so bringing the private sector in this business, bringing the private sector into investing a little bit more itself in building capacities, in providing skills, in providing the necessary technology in developing countries, not by charity, but because those are the regions where the growth is today.
I think there is a meeting of minds here between international financial institutions who typically do big ticket items and AFT, which is about getting everything in harmony.
You do not have to have so-called comparative advantages. You can build them. You can produce them. You can specialize. If you have people that are coming out of the universities, that are coming out of your technical schools, that have the skills, and you apply investment and you apply the aid for trade to those skills, you can create hubs which can service not only your region, your country, but the whole of the world.